There are no shortcuts, and I should know better. Hey everyone, David Ryshpan here again with you on YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about a lesson I learned the hard way recently. A lesson I really should have known. YouTube and social media are the places where we put the best of ourselves, the best sides of ourselves. It's where we curate how we present ourselves to the world, and especially as someone who's primarily teaching on this channel, offering educational content, I have to look like I know what I'm doing, and I think it's equally as important, honestly, and as valid for a teacher to present the mistakes that we still make, and hopefully those of you who are watching this who are students can learn from my mistakes. I don't want this channel to be a do as I say, not as I do channel. I want to talk openly about, the errors I still make 25 years into my career. So recently my band Ritmo Picante had a series of gigs, and the drummer and percussionist wanted to add Michel Camilo's tune Caribe to the set. And all three of the other guys had already played this tune before. They played it with a different pianist in another group. So I was really the one at the biggest disadvantage, and I had the most to learn on this tune because A, it's a piano feature, and B, because I was the only one that had never played it before. At the time when these guys wanted to bring Caribe into our set, it was a really busy time for me. It was the end of the semester at the college where I teach. I had a lot to evaluate, a lot to submit. I had other gigs and commitments going on. And none of those things are excuses. You commit to a gig, you commit to everything that goes into having to prepare for said gig and said rehearsal. This tune, for whatever reason, just kind of slipped by me. And that's 100% my fault and 100% on me. I also put a lot of faith in the fact, in the skill that I have, that my sight reading is pretty good. My jazz sight reading is pretty good. I will say, if it's fully written out and it's very complicated, like Western classical music or ragtime, that stuff I can't sight read. But anything that's kind of in the jazz way of writing things out with chord changes and a single line melody and maybe the odd fully notated section or a bunch of rhythmic slash notation, that stuff I'm pretty strong at sight reading. And so I put faith in the fact that if I listen to the tune a couple of times, I could show up and sight read the chart pretty closely, and then whatever details we needed to iron out, we could iron out in the rehearsal. I was wrong. And let's walk through all the ways in which I was wrong. I saw that someone had uploaded a chart, a PDF of Caribe, to our shared band drive. So I went and checked it out. And I realized very quickly they had uploaded a big band arrangement of Caribe. So the piano part did not have the melody because the arranger had put all the melody in the saxophones and in the trumpets. So then I went on the hunt for another chart of Caribe, either a transcription or someone else's lead sheet or anything I could find on the internet. All of this time, I could have just been listening to the song. All the time I invested in trying to find someone else's transcription, I could have been transcribing it myself. transcription I found was very well notated, very clean. It looked like it had been professionally published at some point. And so I put all my eggs in that basket. I put all my faith in that transcription. And if I could sight read that transcription, it would be fine. I didn't really check it against the recording. So I get to rehearsal early. And the drummer was there early as well. And I took advantage of the fact that we were both there early before the other two guys to be like, hey, I haven't had a chance to check out Caribe. I know you know it really well. Can we play through it? And so we started playing through it together, and I realized in all the ways the transcription I had found was wrong. Extra notes, things that were syncopated that aren't actually syncopated, figures that started or ended on the wrong beat. I don't want to go so far as to call it a mess, but it was not accurate. It was not right. And again, all the time I spent looking for a transcription, sight reading this transcription, and then fixing the things that were wrong in the transcription, I could have just spent transcribing the tune myself. Another issue with the transcription that I found, this isn't a mistake in the transcription so much as it is a preference that I have in reading Afro-Cuban music, Afro-Latin music. The way this transcription was written was in 16th notes. In other words, the clave only took 1 bar. The clave was written as a 1-bar phrase instead of a 2-bar phrase. So if you think of a rumba clave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I prefer to see the clave in cut time as a 2-bar phrase. So in 8th notes, basically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of how my eye wants to see it, especially a melody like Caribe that's very syncopated and moves around a lot. The other issue, the third issue with this transcription, is that it was a complete transcription of Michel Camilo's piano part, which is a great resource to have, and I'm glad I found it. I'm glad I have it in my library now, because there's a lot to be learned from it. But on a gig, and in the way that we're performing Caribe in the band, I'm not playing Michel Camilo's introduction, I'm not playing his montuno, I'm not playing his solo. So there were a lot of pages I needed to cut and move around and add shortcuts in Fourscore to jump from the DS to the coda and all this stuff. Again, all the time I spent programming those shortcuts in Fourscore and cutting pages and shuffling pages around, all of that formatting work, I could have just made my own chart. So there really are no shortcuts. Everything winds up taking you the same amount of time. You have to put in the work. There is no replacement for doing the work. And this isn't to say that you have to transcribe absolutely everything 100% of the time. It's just a reminder to myself, really, that I should know by now that any written music you find has mistakes, has errors, and you need to check it against the recording. The recording is really the textbook. Whether it's a mistake in the addition, whether it's, I came up playing pop music and I realized very quickly that the published piano, vocal, guitar sheet music that I was buying, what was written on the grandstaff was not what was actually being played. It was kind of an arrangement for solo piano of the tune. It was not what the pianist or the keyboardist or the session musician or the producer played on the record. And so I would always be comparing what was written with what I was hearing. Is it the same? Is it different? Even so far as you're in a band, the sheet music might say one thing, but then there's been a bunch of revisions since then as you go on to play the tune in the band or with the artist, things change and they're maybe not reflected on the charts that people have. So you always need to compare the ink with the audio. Always. I should really have known that by now. So that's my mea culpa, that's my mistake, that's my story of stuff I should have known and I let it lapse, looking for shortcuts. And again, shortcuts don't exist. Just to reiterate that the amount of time I spent annotating the PDF, cleaning things up, correcting the errors, shuffling the pages around, adding shortcuts and jumps in Fourscore, I could have just made my own chart. It would have taken the same amount of time. All right, I'm going to leave you with more footage of Ritmo Picante playing Michel Camilo's Caribe after I learned it properly. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so, click all the little buttons below the video, like, subscribe, all that stuff. My name's David Ryshpan. I'll see you in the next video and potentially on the road this summer. Tour dates will be linked below. All right, take care. Peace.